I got a double queen pawn. Jagoran defense. Okay, I know something about this. I played it for 14 years in correspondence chess. Bishop g4 is the main line. Yeah, now the main line is to take here. Then we reach two different kinds of positions. So I'll cover a little opening theory on this one. Let's see what white does. Okay, plays knight c3. That's one of the lesser replies. I was showing this in another game earlier. This is a line too. The most solid move for black is e6, but I was playing blitz chess, I would spring this one, and it's not sound. White does well with queen b3. Okay, but I had back in 2011, there in my All Rats library at ICC, I think December, right around Christmas, I had two games that reached this position, and one was a different move order, and I won this very quickly. It was rather humorous that I was able to not only do it once but do it twice. And now I go and play this, and my opponent gets greedy and does this, and surprise, surprise, game over. And I was showing one of my students these games, and he got a big chuckle out of it. And darn if I didn't do it a third time. They're all in my library over at ICC. So, I mean, well, at ICC, my other handle. Anyway, kind of fun stuff. The other two moves here are, let's see. I was saying pawn takes. Okay, now black takes. Now white has two choices here. One is to take the knight. Now white would like to get a pawn setter, but he can't, so he plays here. Now black plays e6. Now e4. Now we pin. Now f3. Now it's important that black give this check right here. Check. And the reason is we need to weaken f3. Because now the queen comes here, and white would love to play queen b3 here, but he can't. f3 falls, and there's several continuations here. Black will play to pressure d4. Like I think one line is, let's just do bishop g2, castles. Now it's a mistake for white to play a3 because, see, black wants to bring the bishop back here, so you're just driving him back. I guess black could even play this move in this position. Sometimes this move is used. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. Black has counterplay on the center. Now let's go back to the other line. And that's where white plays for the to get the two bishops. Now d4 is under pressure. So one line is to play e5 and then knight c3. This move got fashionable for a while. There's a whole bunch of theory to that. The two bishops versus the knights is to play here. And then I think this takes. And, white has this center mass of pawns. He's got the bishop pair, but it came at a price of development. And there's several ways to go from here. The knight can come to f6 or e7, and then black may castle either wing. And the bishops are usually pretty good in this line. So far more interesting is to play here. At some point, white has to play f4. Like if he brings the bishop out, queen h3 is very dangerous for white to get into. So this is pretty much forced at some point. And check. A struggle ensues. So these are kind of like the main line of the Jagoran. he plays knight c3. Let's see what black does. Black plays e6. That's the safe one. I know, though, there's one other line that white can play. Alyakin had this line, and now black just does well with this. If white takes with the e pawn for development, this pawn becomes a target. Black can play e6, g6, bishop g7, knight e7, and eventually the knight f5, and there's all kinds of problems on d4. Okay, and if he takes with this pawn, you're still playing e6. So on knight c3, this is actually a mistake, so e6 is the best choice. Okay, oh, I happen to know something about that opening. I played it for, as I said, for 14 years in correspondence chess. The good old-fashioned postcard days. Boy, did I have fun with that. But it was 14 years of hours and hours of chess analysis. Oh, boy. I didn't miss it when I finally finished all my games. Okay, then I switched to the internet, and here I am. Okay, so let's say I did play it, and I did play a lot of blitz chess with it after I played it in correspondence, and played it a few over the board tournaments, but I was inactive from over the board from '96 until the end of 2012. Okay, so I guess you can't take with the queen here. You're going to hang this guy. Okay. I would say black is equalized. I think it's better to take with the pawn, but that's just me. This gives white a center pawn majority. I don't know, but this e4, he didn't play it. I don't know all the theory in this line, but let's see. If e4, take, e5 certainly looks interesting. You know, and you know, if white pushes, you know, black's got some decent play. Yeah, the game's even. Okay, tickle the queen, probably back to e7. Headed for this square. I'm going to go there, huh? Okay, a little play down here. So that rook has lost a tempo. That weakens this square. Did black have to, although I've done similar stuff in similar positions, I don't know, it anchors this guy in here. Yeah, this looks pretty even. White needs to get a knight here. I don't know if that's the right idea or not, but it does tempo the knight. I would bring the knight in here. Yeah, that's what he did. So black's going to have one weak pawn. That's not enough to lose the game. Okay, now we got pressure on b7. Probably going to play knight here, but I don't know. That knight c5 is starting to look good. Okay, he came back. This square is safe. c7. Okay, he wants to trade. He says, go ahead, take my queen. I'll win a pawn, because I'll take with check. Okay. This knight is tied down guarding this. This knight is tied down guarding this. I don't think there's a tactic with this. White can steal a pawn here, but that looks kind of risky. But I don't know, he might be able to get away with it. Let's see what he does. He comes back. Let's see. What's wrong with this? We'll just snatch a pawn. Hmm. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Black has enough compensation here. You know. Let's see. Okay, who's paging me? Just 1 second. Phone keeps going off. Okay. Hi, Dad. Okay. You know, Black's forces are concentrated on the king's side, but I'm not seeing I'm not seeing a way to, you know, he can try to activate this knight. It's going to cost him another pawn. Let's see. You know, we can tickle the queen, but you know, where does the knight go next? So let's bring the knight here, cough up another pawn, and now we can work on this knight. But does Black have enough here? You know, like for instance, check.
Check.
You know, Black has given a piece up here and a couple of pawns. White's back rank is safe. Now this is not a mate threat because now the queen protects. Oh, wait a minute. We can steal that, right? But White is still 2 pawns up. Maybe this is a threat now. White to play. Let's chase the queen out. Where's that queen go? F2 it doesn't have an escape route here. A5 just looks like it's taking it way out of play. Almost have to go to F2. Now maybe there's a threat here. Yeah, very, very, very tricky position. Definitely needs a lot of analysis done to it. Okay. So White sends his pieces over to the king's side. You know, I can understand not wanting to be subject to an attack. You know, just play it safe. Now I'm trying to do something different here. I want to play this, but I don't think Black gets enough. You know, this knight's just out of play. Let's I don't know, you have to be careful here too. This is knight here is a threat maybe. Now does he play knight d7? No, he doesn't. What's wrong with knight d7? You know, maybe the best Black has is to give up the 2 rooks for the queen. Let's see. This could be shaky. White suddenly comes to f4 and it's threatening a fork down here. You know, when you give up the queen for 2 rooks, it's interesting. Sometimes the rooks just don't stand a chance against that queen. They're supposed to be worth more. But here the rooks are connected. They're not separated. The black queen is on the side of the board. I mean, this looks like a viable move for white. You know, unless black plays rook f2, he's dropping the exchange. So let's see. Here we have a comment. Have you read Joseph Dorman's book Method in Chess? And if so, do you have having a protocol? No, I haven't read his book. Okay, I'm not familiar with it. So, but let's see, having a protocol for no, you need a protocol for. I don't know what his methods are for evaluation, but you do need to be able to evaluate accurately. See, in this case, let's just back this up. Okay, when white plays knight e5, he's threatening a fork. Okay, now it's up to black to, logically we can say, well, you have to defend against the fork. We have to see the fork, and we have to defend against it. And what black does is black puts his queen here, which basically says, go ahead and make the fork. So black had to evaluate what he would do if the fork came. Now, I mean, if black just tries to get his knight in the game, then, knight takes rook, puts, no matter how black takes back, you take back with the pawn, you close the file. You take back with the queen, you're headed for a tempo. Get tempo, you take back with the knight. Well, maybe the knight wants to come in here next. Okay, now is this enough for black to have compensation for the exchange he sacrificed? So we have to be able to evaluate this. I'm thinking it isn't. For one, white could play knight here. Now he's batting down the hatches on h2, and even though this knight can come into play, and he can come back and reinforce e4. I think in the long run, white's better here. Now white could have even taken the other rook in this situation. It could have taken this one. Now you take back with the king. White's just gonna say, let's trade some more material, and I'll take you right down to an end game that you're gonna lose. So we're having to evaluate these things. So the only other possibility that I see is that black would have to play this, and black has surrendered 2 rooks for the queen, and the white rooks are connected. We got to get this knight in the game, and this looks shaky simply because of this, and we're threatening some nasties down here. If white covers that this way, he's off the c file. If he covers it this way, and maybe that makes more sense. Suddenly we have to make sure this knight doesn't mess us up. Knight takes e4 is now a threat because this knight is pinned. So maybe black has some activity here, but just the fact that you have to give up the queen for 2 rooks, sometimes that just smells of rotten bananas. We're making a concession, but it looks like black's okay. At any rate, white chooses not to win the exchange and offers a queen trade, and also offered a draw. I guess there's another factor too. Both sides are low on time, so a draw is a fair result. But let's see who's better off here. Okay, takes, covers this square. I think that the draw is a fair result. And now we can come into the 7th. Chase them out. Do that. Now, whoops. If here, we can swap and steal a pawn. So, we can't really play knight e5. Now, the only other evaluation I would say would be, or thing to do, white, let me illustrate. White wants to trade rooks. I'll tell you why in a moment.
Check.
Or maybe he doesn't want to trade rooks.
Check.
See, one question that gets asked a lot is, how do you evaluate a knight and pawn ending? And the simplest way to evaluate a knight and pawn ending is, imagine these knights are not on the board. Now we ask a question: who wins the king and pawn ending? And if you can solve that, you can determine the winner of the knight and pawn ending. Okay? Kind of interesting. Now, there are exceptions. I actually had one where I was drawing the game with the knights on the board, but I was losing the game with them off the board. I would lose the king and pawn ending, but I had enough things to hold the draw. So, yeah, a whole long story there. Okay, so black can make a threat with g6. The idea is to kick the knight away. But who's winning the king and pawn ending here? Let's see. We don't have to play g6. Let's have some fun here. We're done with this game. I'm going to kill these guys, huh? Look at that. Isn't that neat how I just get rid of those? Okay. Who's winning this? Both sides have 3 pawn islands. Whites are in sets of 2. Black's got a 3, a 1, and a 2. The king side pawns match. Whose move was it? I don't remember. I guess it was white's move because d8 is highlighted. I'm just assuming that. Entry points. Okay. e5 would be a great square for a white king if he can get there. I don't think he can. White can build a pawn center, which will take a lot of territory away from, I think this is even. I can't see white breaking through here. But if a grandmaster has this position against an international master, maybe he can win it. Okay, let's bring up another one. Stop this recording.